Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It is time once more for Sports Car Night. It's the Südspeed Sportscar Series from Laguna, Seca, round 6 of 2024 season 1. It's going to be an interesting race, bit of a smaller field than previous rounds, but I think it's appropriate for a very tight and twisty track that's difficult to run side by side at in quite a few places. To bring it to you all live here on SimSpeed TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick, it's me, Reese Gardner, with Brady Baldwin alongside me in the commentary box. Jay Kennedy is behind the scenes pressing all the buttons. Well, Brady, we come to Laguna Seca, a track that neither of us are huge fans of as drivers, but for racing, it's pretty easy to see why this is such a popular circuit.
Yeah, 100%, Reece. It does put on a lot of action and a lot of character to this track as well. And like you touched on, we're both not big fans of it, probably because I drive a supercar mainly on road, and it's not very good in that. But we will go into sunny California at the moment. Not very sunny at the moment, a lot of rain around California at the moment, but we do go down to Laguna Seca, a fantastic circuit. Just over 3.5 kilometers in length, 3.62 be precise, 11 corners and a lot of undulation. That's the main thing about this track, and obviously the famous corkscrew turn 8 and the exit of turn 8A. The Andretti hairpin, a very good opportunity for a pass as well, and turn 5 is probably the other passing opportunity and into the last corner as well. But like you said, a smaller field tonight, but I think the action will be of plenty.
Yeah, indeed it will. Plenty of opportunities for actually trying passes around here, but I think particularly at turn 6, it's going to be difficult. That's a very harsh turn to the left with big anti-cut curbs on the inside, and if you can get a good run through turn 10, you will be able to send one up the inside at turn 11, but it's going to be tight, particularly if you're going into the pits. That pit entry at Laguna Seca is one of the toughest on iRacing for my money, but we won't be seeing a pit stop until race 2. Let's check out the format for tonight. 15 minutes of qualifying that the drivers are currently in the middle of, with a 15-minute race for the first running of the night. 30-minute race 2, reverse top 10, compulsory pit stop for 2 tyres after the conclusion of lap 3. So same round as we've seen all season long, Brady. It's I'd be interested to see how the drivers tackle it here tonight, because Laguna Seca can be a bit of a tough circuit on tyres.
Yeah, certainly it can be. I'd probably go towards maybe front tyres, because you would like fair bit of turn throughout this circuit, especially through the back section. Turn 5 and 6, very fast left-handers, and into the corkscrew as well. So be very interesting. We've got 7 pro cars and 5 AM cars, so should be pretty tight racing all throughout the night. And obviously Südspeed, maker of some fantastic sim gloves that we all own, Reece, and they are fantastic quality. I love using them, and if you'd like a pair for yourself, you've used the viewer discount using code SPECTATOR for 10% off your gloves, including free shipping in Australia and New Zealand. So, rip of a deal, Reece, and I couldn't recommend my gloves highly.
Yeah, me either. It's the really fantastic pair of gloves that Südspeed produces, and they've got a bunch of new designs on as well. I've grabbed myself a pair of the blue and whites, and they've certainly been very nice as with the edition ones. Before we get into the live pictures, let's check out the standings coming into tonight. Daniel Benefield, who had a bit of a shock departure from Drop Bear Motorsport after last round at Mosport, now racing for 9.5 and only 5 points ahead of Dan Yeaman, who has had some great success in the last couple rounds of the season. Lockhart Brownlee a bit further behind, but he's still potentially in the hunt. Drop Bear Motorsport otherwise dominating the top 5 with Yeaman, Brownlee and Walker. Seb Vandel, he won't be too happy with Daniel Benefield after the contact they had into the last corner at Mosport, but he remains 5th in the championship, finding pace late in the season.
Yeah, certainly. I think we might be on for round 2 tonight between Benefield and Vandel. Vandel will probably be looking to try and jump Walker potentially for 4th place in the championship. And if he has a good enough night and Brownlee has a bit of a shocker, he could potentially go for 3rd place, with this being the second last round of the season. But really, it's a two-horse race between Benefield and Yeaman. Still a lot to play out, though. Matthew Keane and Eric Fenson, they're still tied for points for position number 6 as well. This is the AM class standing as well. Daniel Finney has a 29-point lead over Jackson Dahl. Both those guys in attendance tonight, so they'll be battling it out for the top spot. Dean Hunt a little bit further back. James Cellini and Nathaniel Coburn running out the top 5, but still a lot to play out from the minor standings in the AM class as well, Reese.
Yeah, certainly is. Yes, Nathaniel Coburn and Sam Lambert are on the same amount of points. Kylie Benici and Fogarty not separated by much either. Let's see how those standings look coming out of this round. Finney has been doing quite well compared to the rest of his AM class competitors. But here is our Zoom wall for tonight. We've got Seb Vandel on the top left, top right, Dan Yeaman, Dean Hunt as well in the midst of all of that on the top row. And then we have Vinnie Newen down on the bottom left, Brownlee and Lambert completing the bottom row there. But I think Lockhart needs to bring his camera down just a little bit. We'll be able to see his face a little better. So, qualifying time. Henry Fenson in the number 10, currently in 8th spot. We have not very many more drivers in the field at the moment. Fenson doing well to put himself up a little further there. Still 8th in Pro. And actually putting himself ahead of the rest of the AM cars there. He was a bit lower down between, I think, Finney and Hunt in AM, but now Pros and AMs are all together. We don't have any AMs splitting the Pros with only 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining.
I apologise, I got my math incorrect before. We've got 8 pro drivers, not 7 out there. So obviously miscounted, but here's Daniel Finney on screen currently, qualified position number 10 overall, but 2nd in class. He's got that championship lead over Jackson Dahl. So if you can stay right with him throughout tonight's racing, he'll be the favourite heading into the final round in 2 weeks' time. And this shows how hard it is to get a clean lap around here, especially if you run wide there on the exit of turn 6. There is sand right on the exit there. If you dip that tyre off, there's your lap gone. That's an off track. And then going through the corkscrew, look how much undulation you get on the exit of the corner. Then the very fast turn number 9, the rainy curve. Take a little bit of curb on the inside, use all the curb to the outside on every single exit through 10. A little bit on the sand there as well again for Daniel Finney. Into the final corner, turn number 11. Don't want to hit the red bollard on the inside. They'll upset your car too much. Coming across the line, will this be a clean lap for Daniel Finney? Will he improve? It's a 29.87, just shy of his best time so far.
Yeah, indeed. Looks like the lap did count, but we'll have to wait and see if he can actually improve. Dylan Walker, meanwhile, number 53 for Drop Bear Motorsport, trying to control the rear end through a very difficult corkscrew section. It's very easy to get some understeer through Rainy Curve and not get over to the other side of the circuit in time for turn 10. It looks like Walker's managed to nail that, and down through the final corner, use all of the AstroTurf and then some. You used to get an off track by using the AstroTurf, but you don't anymore, and Dylan Walker will not improve on his fastest time right now. He's finding it very difficult to find pace later on in the session. I think everyone is. Vandel very close to Daniel Benefield. They've set the exact same time down to the 1,000th, and he's not quite managed to get it done there. My goodness, what a race it's likely to be between our reigning champion and our championship leader.
I did just realise they're separated by absolutely nothing at the moment. Race is quite remarkable, as close as the NASCAR finish from the other day. Daniel Finney comes across the line. That lap does not improve either, but Jackson Dial, he came across the line not too long ago, improved to position number 5 overall, so massive gain there for Jackson Dial, and here is Dylan Walker once again. He's only had one clean lap in this entire qualifying session. He's only got 15 seconds to make it to the finish line. It's going to be very, very close, but I don't think he's going to make it, Reese. There's no one else on the lap by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's a multi-race server, so once the clock hits 0, that's it. You're not going to be able to make it to the end, and it's only a few meters there for Walker, and he just managed to cross the line in time, and it did count. He remains in 4th. But he managed to bring himself a little closer to the top. Speaking of the top, Daniel Benefield on pole position, but Seb Vandel, look at that gap. It's probably the 10th to 100,000th of a second between those two drivers. What a front row that is. Lockhart Brownlee is going to start in 3rd place alongside Dylan Walker, both for Drop Bear Motorsport, with Jackson Dial starting in 5th place. Eric Fenson will round out the top 6. Dial with a great late improvement, putting himself ahead of all the other AM competitors, let alone 4 of our pros. Brilliant stuff with Fenson, of course, starting alongside him. Daniel Yeaman is going to start in 7th place alongside Vinnie Nguyen, and then Henry Fenson will start in 9th spot. Daniel Finney in AM rounds out the top 10. Finney, the AM championship leader. Dean Hunt, Sam Lambert, and Nathaniel Coburn are going to round out our diminished 13-car field here for Laguna Seca. But tell you what, like I mentioned pre-race, a smaller field at Laguna Seca isn't always a bad thing, especially when the cars are this fast.
Yeah, 100% race. I don't disagree with you whatsoever, and will be more important as well. Remember, for race number 2, which is our 30-minute race here tonight, we do have a top 10 reverse grid, and with only 13 cars, it's going to even be tighter and closer to make that top 10 to potentially start on the front row for race number 2. So it's going to be very interesting how those bottom positions will be battled out throughout this race. And more importantly, Daniel Yeaman starting position number 7 in this race. We touched on it pre-race, only 5 points behind former teammate now, Daniel Benefield. And he's got a lot of ground to make up. Potentially, if he doesn't finish as high, he'll have a better starting position for race number 2. But he'll want all the points he can get out of this race.
Yeah, he certainly will. It's going to be tough. As one more time we check in on the Zoom wall. Looks like Lockhart Brownlee has gotten the memo and put his camera down. We'll be able to see his features as we check out his race for the podium, with Dean Hunt rocking the Südspeed t-shirt, also Südspeed gloves too. Excellent stuff, repping the brand. Remember, Südspeed, of course, the main sponsor and organizer of this series. We highlighted it before the race, but we'll say it again. If you put the code SPECTATOR in at checkout on Südspeed.com, you'll get 10% off your order, including free shipping if you're in Australia or New Zealand. Thank you very much, Südspeed. Become fast friends with us here at SimSpeed TV. Just waiting on the last few seconds before the pace car pulls away. We'll be able to get one heck of a race on our hands between Daniel Benefield and Seb Vandel. They've been racing each other pretty hard over the course of this season, and it's looking to continue here at a very tight and cramped circuit for these cars. Here we go then. 15 minutes on the clock. We will start counting down when they cross the start-finish line. And everyone trying to give the pace car as much space as they can. let's hope that we have a good race on our hands here.
And once again, the rivalry that started at the last round at Motorsport, Benefield v Vandel will share the front row for the first race of the night race. And Benefield has gone early. We're green flag racing here at Laguna Seca for round number 5 of the Südspeed Sportscar Series.
Indeed, good start from Benefield, but Vandel is pushing him. Looks to the inside of turn 1. Benefield runs a little deep, but Vandel will follow him. Slide oversteer moment for Lockhart Brownlee. Eric Fenson almost allows himself alongside Dylan Walker, but they fall into line on the way out of turn 3. The top two are breaking away, with Vandel chasing down Daniel Benefield. Let's see if he can make any more gains here on lap 1 as the fight continues for 4th spot. Walker not quite able to escape the clutches of Eric Fenson here. Got to be careful coming into turn 6. You see the big anti-cut curb on the inside, and there's a big dip right in the middle of the corner. You can't go side by side through that corner at these speeds. Fenson gets on the brakes nice and early for the corkscrew, and they are through for the first time, nice and clean. Not seeing much in the way of spins throughout the rest of the field, but easy to make mistakes in this section.
Pretty well, turn 5 all the way through the corkscrew is pretty well single file. If you try and make a overtake, you're going to be very ballsy, and it's going to be a big risk to try and get anything done. And we've seen some good clean driving over the first lap of this race so far, and Vandel's already pulled out nearly 8/10 already on 3rd place Lockhart Brownlee, and within half a second of Benefield as he closes in on the braking zone. There's Sebastian Vandel, gets a little bit closer there on the entry of the corner, and it looks like it might be a 2-horse race once again now in front. Brownlee, he's pushing really hard to try and stay with the top two. A little bit of oversteer action. Daniel Yeaman, he's climbed 1 spot on the first lap. Jackson Dahl, unfortunately, he's down 2 spots. Everyone else has pretty much stayed in position through the first lap of this race.
Yeah, a bit of lockstep throughout the field to start things off, but this is only a short race. I'm expecting that there will be drivers further back trying to make their moves and make them count. The space increasing just a little bit here between Dylan Walker and Eric Fenson, to say nothing of the space between Walker and the top 3. It looks like things have actually equalised a little between Vandel and Benefield, and Brownlee starting to close in on them. We'll keep an eye on lap times as Nathaniel Coburn pushes Sam Lambert to last place with a dive, I believe, on the exit of the corkscrew. Actually, it looks like Sam Lambert might have had a spin. He's looking a long way behind the rest of the field.
Yeah, he's had an off at turn number 9 at the rainy curve, so we might have to try and pick up replay if we can. Just ran a little bit wide on the exit. Just dropped the right side tyres off in the gravel, and you're not going to have any traction out there. So, unfortunately, a minor mistake there for Sam Lambert. Unfortunately, he's lost a fair bit of ground there to the Nathaniel Coburn for 4th in class.
Yeah, it's easy to do. I mean, you want to try and widen the entry to Rainier Curve as much as you can, and using the curve is part of that, but you touch that gravel and the car just won't turn. Keep an eye here on Vinnie Newen. He's trying to put Jackson Dial back to 8th overall. Dial, of course, the leader of the AM class. So, you know, I mean, in terms of the race for his class, Dial hasn't lost out much despite losing 2 overall places, but he'd want to try and hold on to it. The drivers are scored on overall points, so where you finish is how many points you get. There aren't separate points for Pro and Am, so any extra advantage you can get over your Am rivals, you'll certainly take.
100% Dole will be looking for as many points as he can over Daniel Finney, who's currently position number 10, so anything he can get out of this race, the better, as Dylan Walker sets the fastest lap of the race on lap number 3 at 1:12.528. So about 7/10 of a second away from what we've seen in qualifying. He's trying to now catch up to Lockhart Brownlee, who's pretty well stayed with Vandel and Benefield over the last couple of laps. He's actually a 10th quicker than both those guys on the last lap, and now Daniel Yeaman slowly closing in on Eric Fenson for the battle for position number 5.
Yeah, Yeaman's second in the championship, wants to try and get a bit closer to Daniel Benefield. It's going to be tough. Let's see what he can do to make that move. No pass into the corkscrew. Fenson a little bit wide on the way out of the corner, but will hold fast through Rainier Curve And down into turn 10 we go. Easy does it on the way in. It looks like Yeaman's just taking it easy for the time being. He's not rushing this, which is good. But I think with 10 minutes now on the clock and fastest lap to our leader, Yeaman has to make those moves, and that's exactly what he's going to do coming into turn 1, and he makes it stick beautifully.
Yeah, nice move there for Yeaman to get up to position number 5, and now he'll try and chase down his teammate Dylan Walker, but he's a fair way back at the moment. He's just under 2 seconds behind, so going to be a fair bit of work for Yeaman to try and get onto the back of his teammate Dylan Walker. Benefield that lap though, stretched out the lead, done a 112.3, and Seb Vandella 1 minute 13 has lost a fair bit of ground. Now looking under pressure actually from Lockhart Branley for position number 2, so Vandell can't afford another mistake, otherwise he's going to be really under pressure for P number 2.
Yeah, it looks like it was just a scrappy lap from Seb Vandell there. He ran into the gravel a couple of times coming off the curbs. So that's opened up the opportunity here to Lockhart Brownlee to try and jump into second spot. And that's another slight error there from Seb Vandell. Just a little bit too much sliding on the way into the final corner. This is allowing Benefield to skip away, leading by 1.8 seconds now and taking back the fastest lap of the race. Now that Benefield doesn't have any pressure on him, he's starting to open up.
He certainly is, and Vandell looks like he's just struggling once again. That lap dropped 0.7 of a second to Daniel Benefield, so lead now out to 1.8 seconds, and looks like Benefield's going to be untroubled for the rest of this race unless Vandell magically finds some speed. But now Dylan Walker's closing in the back of this pack, and even Yeaman as well is the quickest car out of those 4, so we might have a 4-way fight for position number 2 in the next lap or so race.
Yeah, here comes Dylan Walker on the back of Lockhart Brownlee. Gently does it between the teammates. We don't want too much coming together between the Drop Bear Motorsports squad. They are basically the only drivers who can really challenge Daniel Benefield for the title at this stage. Having said that, Vandell, currently the best place to attack. He is down in 5th in the championship. So these Drop Bear guys, the trio that we see on screen at the moment, they will want to advance past Vandell if at all possible. Can Dylan Walker do anything to overcome the drivers in front of him? He was just 100th or so quicker than Lockhart Brownlee on the last lap, and Vandell's gotten some pace back. He's back to the 13 flats. Benefield, though, still setting 1 minute 12s, in the mid 112s, in fact, on the last lap. So I think you're right, Brady. There's not much anyone can do to get past Daniel Benefield at this stage.
No, he looks pretty comfortable out in front at the moment, and be interesting to see if there's any potential team orders within Drop Bear Motorsport for another spot or 2 potentially for Yeaman to try and keep that gap close for the championship fight. Remember, even if he finishes position number 5, he'll be starting 5 positions better than what Benefield is for the second race, but I'm sure Dan will want all the points he can to try and close that gap to Benefield, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the remaining 6.5 minutes of this race as Branley gets really close to the inside of Vandell the last corner there, but doesn't look like Seb's too worried about it at the moment.
Yeah, just presumably wiping a bit of sweat off his brow coming out of the final corner. It's basically the one opportunity you have around this circuit to have a rest. The corners just come thick and fast, and there's not much space between them otherwise. These are the conditions the drivers are dealing with at the moment. 36-degree track temperature, which is actually pretty good in terms of track temp. I think ideally you'd prefer it to be around 32, maybe down into the late 20s, but other than that, I think the tyres getting up to temperature nice and quickly, which is good for a sprint race like this.
Yeah, 100%. Nice weather in sunny California here today. No rain on the forecast, which is nice. 36 track temps, pretty hot in a V8 supercar that I usually drive, but in these probably wouldn't be too bad because a lot of grip and a lot of downforce. As Lockhart Branley once again closes in on the back of Seb Vandell, but not many overtaking opportunities around this circuit. It's going to make it pretty difficult to try and get anything done unless Seb has a big error as Brandley has a little lock-up going to the last corner. Nearly got back into the back of Vandel's gearbox. It looks like Dylan Walker has a slowdown now.
Oh,
so now
no.
that's going to cost him a spot to Daniel Yeaman. So he's cleared that now and will be free to race, but that is one spot down for Walker. Another position gain for Daniel Yeaman.
Man, that sucks for Dylan Walker. I mean, I'm not seeing much evidence of a slowdown coming through the corkscrew, at least. Maybe it was the final couple of corners. Regardless, Walker, a big blow down to 5th place. And I don't know if maybe he felt he had to back out. No, it was actually at the last corner. He just went way across the curb at the final turn, and no surprise to see that results in a slowdown. Meanwhile, 7th place, Jackson Dial, trying to fend off Vinnie Nguyen and Eric Fenson, and a little bit too much gravel there on the way out of turn 6. You've got the Rahal straight to come after that, and any momentum that you lose coming up the hill is going to hurt you quite a bit. But Nguyen and Fenson just holding station for now.
Yeah, it's been a little battle pack between Dial and Nguyen and Henry Fenson, all race long, separated by less than 1 second. And Daniel Finney slowly closing in as well. And Finney has that important 10th position at the moment. So if he can hold on to that for the final just under 4 minutes in this first race, he'll start on pole position for race number 2. So got a bit of a gap, 2.5 seconds back to Dean Hunt. So looking pretty comfortable at the moment. This is a replay of Daniel Yeaman coming through the corkscrew. Big moment for Daniel Yeaman. Next to the corkscrew, it looks like he had a lot of understeer going through the left-hander of the corkscrew, and then lots of oversteer on the exit race.
Yeah, I think that was caused by just running a bit too far over the curb on the right coming up to the corner. There's been another mistake for Yeaman. Big at turn 6. Oh, he's gone into the gravel trap and allowed Dylan Walker back through into 4th spot. That was a pretty massive moment for Yeaman, and we're getting it on replay now. Just too deep into the corner, and then the traction control kicked in. For a second, I thought he was going to go into the wall.
There'll be some stuff in his pants after that moment, Reese, because that was a monster moment for Daniel Yeaman. Unfortunately, that spot he gained from his teammate Dylan Walker's mistake, he's now lost to him again. So just 2:45 remaining in this race, so just a couple laps left. And Yeaman's got a lot of work to do to try and now gain back on Dylan Walker, his teammate. Just a second separating those guys as Vandel and Branley have sort of separated a little bit, but the gap for the race lead, just over 3 seconds at the moment from Benefield to Vandel. So he's really stretched out the lead as Henry Fenson's actually lost a spot to Daniel Finney. Finney will move up to 9th and getting more points back on Jackson Dial as well in the M-Class Championship.
Yeah, looks like Fenson locked the brakes on the way into turn 1. That's what allowed Finney by him. We keep an eye on Lambert as well, who's trying to race for position not last. Currently 13th and last running car on the road, chasing down Nathaniel Coburn, who's a driver that has been competing on and off throughout the season, but we haven't given much airtime to. He's been down the order quite a bit over the course of the season, but he's got quite a battle on his hands here as the number 8 chases him down. And next lap will certainly be the final lap for them. Actually, no. Actually, looks like we're going to have 2 more to go. We have 1 minute and 20 remaining on the clock, and Benefield's just coming through turn 3. So, start of the penultimate lap for the entire field, which are all on the lead lap. Let's see what Nathaniel Coburn can do to try and keep Sam Lambert behind him, slightly wide at the final corner, but maintaining place.
2 beautiful looking race cars too, Reese. I might just add that. And fantastic battle between those 2 guys. They've been very close to each other all race long. Lambert had the advantage early on, but we've seen that early mistake at Raining Curve turn 9 where he ran a little bit wide. He's been trying to play catch up for the rest of the time, and they've been separated by less than a second pretty well this whole race. So some fantastic battling from the front all the way to the back.
Yeah, and I agree. Very pleasant livery on Nathaniel Coburn's car. I do like that shade of green. Very nice. A little bit of oversteer on the way through turn 5, but that's the kind of turn where you need rotation. as the white flag is now out for Daniel Benefield, just crossing the line now into turn 1 for the last time in this sprint. As into the corkscrew comes the battle for 12th. Coburn a little bit wide there coming out of the corkscrew. That's going to give Lambert a bit of a chance. But will he be able to make it stick? It's all about the run down the hill here through Rainier and through the right-hander at turn 10. Hard on the brakes at turn 11. Don't make a mistake. Don't cut the corner like Dylan Walker did and use all of the AstroTurf on the exit. It seems like Coburn's doing a slightly better job of that than Lambert, but Sam is still catching. Took 0.4 of a second out of Nathaniel Coburn on the previous lap. A little bit narrow on the way in for them. The battle is still on up the top of the field, and this is the battle for second. Lockhart Brownlee chasing down Sebastian Vandel. The gap 0.6 coming into the corkscrew, but Vandel just nailing it. Only got a few more turns to go, and he'll be able to secure that P2. Meanwhile, let's talk about P1 into the last turn for the number 34. Daniel Benefield will extend his championship lead here, taking the checkered flag in first place. Race 1 at Laguna Seca goes to Daniel Benefield in the 9.5 SimSports number 34. Vandel will win the battle for second versus Lockhart Brownlee.
And fantastic pace for Benefield that entire race. Other than obviously the first lap, he was in the 1-minute 12s all race long. So impressive pace, and compared to, say, Lockhart Brownlee in third, he's only probably got about 4 or 5 laps in the 1-minute 12s. So very impressive pace for Daniel Benefield, as Coburn and Lambert still separated by less than a second, only half a second going into the final corner. But it'll be Nathaniel Coburn will cross the line in position number 12, and a fantastic battle all race long between Coburn and Lambert goes the way of Coburn for this race this time by.
Yeah, and very interesting note is that every single car finished on the lead lap. There were no major incidents. Great stuff for race 1 of the Südspeed Sportscar Series round 6 at Laguna Seca. Benefield, the winner, 5 seconds ahead of Seb Vandel. Lockhart Brownlee only another half a second behind. Dylan Walker finishes in 4th ahead of Dan Yeaman. Fenson, Dial, Newen, Finney and Fenson will round out the top 10. Flip 'em, and that's your starting order in the top 10 for race 2. Dean Hunt, Nathaniel Coburn and Samuel Lambert also making it to the finish, only 40 seconds behind. Very good stats there for this round of the season, Brady.
Yeah, fantastic to see all guys finish that first race. Obviously, there was a few small mistakes out there, but they're all prepping for the main race coming up, which is double length, 30 minutes, and with a pit stop, and also a invert top 10, which will be Henry Fenson and Daniel Finney on the front row. So certainly going to be a lot to play out in the final race here tonight, Reese.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a chance to chat to the winner of race 1 for a moment, Daniel Benefield. First time out for 9.5 SimSports in this series, Dan, and coming away with another win, extending the championship lead. You must be happy with how that went.
Yeah, look, like, it seems to be a common theme. Quality pace isn't there, but race pace is really good.
Yeah, you must have been a little concerned seeing Seb Vandel's pace in qualifying, but still, regardless of you guys being matched down to the 1,000th, you still started ahead, and the rolling start was obviously a good opportunity to take advantage and extend that lead early.
Yeah, naturally. To be honest, I didn't even really cover him into turn 1. I know in reality this week and in 2 weeks' time my race isn't with Seb. So if he had to go, he had to go. But he didn't. Well, he half did, but I covered it off. And then I don't know if he seems to overheat his tyres quickly or something, but after the first couple of laps, he kind of dropped off. I don't know if it was his tyres or if it was just battling Lockhart hard.
Yeah, tough track at Laguna Seca. It's difficult to remain consistent around here, but consistency will be key coming into race 2. You'll be starting all the way back in 10th spot for that one, and I suppose it'll just be business as usual when it comes to the pit stops.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully we don't have a safety car like we did at Most Sport, because it kind of ruins the strategy when it's early on and everyone just pits. Hopefully no safety car this week.
Yeah, well, with a small field size, it's a very small chance. Thanks for joining us, Dan, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you again at the end.
Yeah, hopefully. I said that 2 weeks ago, but it didn't end up happening, so we'll see what happens this time.
Yeah, we'll see indeed. Daniel Benefield, winner of race 1 there. Next up, I think maybe we'll go for Dean Hunt, Brady, joining us in the comms box, just finishing outside the top 10.
Dean Hunt, 1 race down, 1 to go. What was your take on that first race here tonight?
Oh, I probably should have done a bit of practice maybe, but I don't know if you saw my pace was pretty off, but it was good watching Vinny and Daniel and Henry and Jackson all have a nice fight in front of me. I was cheering Vinny on in the Discord, hoping he could get past Jackson, but couldn't quite get it done, but I reckon he's on for a good one this race.
Well, I thought the Südspeed gloves and t-shirt were worth about 2 or 3 tenths, but hopefully they plan ahead for this race. What's your aims for this second race coming from position number 11?
Yeah, well, I think I'm still third in the AM class, so I mean anything can happen. You know, when the grid's inverted, I mean I could just get lucky and dial and Finny can bin it, and I can just get past him. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, just probably staying alive. I think the first race was really clean, but I don't know how to go the second race with the inverted grid and the corkscrew. Could get a bit hairy, but yeah, I'll just try and stay alive and see what happens.
Well, all the best of luck for the final race here tonight, Dean, and we might even talk to you after the race too.
Thanks, gentlemen. Have a good night.
This is Dean Hunt there for Frog Leap Juice Racing, representing the Südspeed gloves, of course, and we've also got Nathaniel Coburn coming in for a chat as well, finished in 12th position in that first race. Fantastic battle all race long with Sam Lambert. We'll get him into the broadcast booth. Nathaniel Coburn, fantastic racing there with you and Sam throughout that entire race. How did you make out that race?
Yeah, to be honest, it was pretty alright. I've been practicing last couple of days, and it sort of blew me away when the top runners were running 1 minute 12s. So to find a good competition in Sam Lambert over the past couple of weeks and today was pretty awesome, actually.
What's your strategy heading into the longer race? Obviously, pit stop required. So is there any strategy or just play it by ear?
Being honest, I'm going to try a lighter car and maybe drop a couple of litres out of the car and, yeah, potentially fuel up, a little bit later in the race instead of just run the whole way through on a larger tank. But see how it goes, I guess, trial and error.
Well, all the best of luck for race number 2, Nathaniel, and hopefully you get another good result for yourself.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you very much, and best of luck to everyone.
There's Nathaniel Coburn as well, Reese, and we're looking forward to this second race. 30 minutes on the board with an invert top 10. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, it absolutely is. We hope that you remain with us here on SimSpeed TV for the final race of round 6 of the Südspeed Sportscar Series here from Laguna Seca. One more time, use the code SPECTATOR at Südspeed.com. Fantastic sim racing gloves and apparel as well. If you buy anything on Südspeed.com, just use that code and you'll get 10% off, including free shipping if you're in Australia and New Zealand. Südspeed also ships internationally at competitive rates. Stay with us here on SimSpeed TV for the incoming race 3. It's going to be good.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You're watching SimSpeed TV, round 6 of the Südspeed Sportscar Series for 2024 at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. We had not the most eventful, but certainly very tense opening race of the night. Now we double the length, invert the top 10, and add a pit stop for at least 2 tyres. Let's see how much that spices things up here in California. If you're just joining us, I'm Reese Gardner. Brady Baldwin is with me in the comms box. Jay Kennedy is pressing all the buttons behind the scenes. And it is time to go through the grid for our second race. Henry Fenson, by virtue of finishing 10th in race 1, will start on pole alongside Daniel Finney. Vinnie Nguyen is going to take up the second row with the AM winner from race 1, Jackson Dial. It's going to be an excellent race night for Dial if he can keep that up, with Fenson, Eric, and Yeaman Daniel on the third row of the grid. Dylan Walker's going to start in 7th place alongside his Drop Bear Motorsport teammate Lockhart Brownlee. Second place in race 1 was Seb Vandel. He will start in 9th alongside our race 1 winner, Daniel Benefield. Dean Hunt, Nathaniel Coburn, and Sam Lambert are going to start exactly where they finished in 11th, 12th, and 13th. Lambert was catching Nathaniel Coburn all through the second half of race 1. Question is, will he be able to make the move and get himself further into the field? Remains to be seen as everyone's lining up on the grid. The track temp has gone up, Brady. It's 38 degrees Celsius now, only 2 degrees hotter, but that might make a difference.
Certainly will, especially with a longer race, and they are changing tyres, so it might change up potentially if they go front or rears. I'm not too sure, but one thing we'll have to definitely keep an eye out on in this race as we go over the format again. 30-minute race, invert top 10, and 2 compulsory tyres anytime after lap number 3. So Daniel Yeaman starting position number 6, Daniel Benefield starting position number 10. So the 2 championship protagonists starting 3 rows apart, and Daniel Yeaman will definitely want to get a move on early, try and get as many spots as he can and try and run away and potentially go for a race win here. He had some really good pace in that first race, but one little mistake sent him off and lost a spot to his teammate Dylan Walker, so he'll be looking for a bit of a comeback in this race, you should say.
Yeah, indeed. You never know. With Benefield starting further back, he might get involved in something, and that'll just give a big advantage to Yeaman getting the swing in the Drivers' Championship. But that's all to be decided in about half an hour's time. Everyone just sitting on the grid waiting for that timer to tick down. It's still got about 30 seconds remaining on it, but Yeah, this is the tense period when you're just going over your final notes in terms of your strategy. When are you going to pit? Monitor your rivals, wait for them to potentially make the move first. Question is whether or not an undercut or overcut is going to work here. I would say, with the track temperature being relatively warm, an undercut's probably the way to go, but that's of course assuming that you can get your tyres up to temperature in time. These tyres start stone cold, and they take a bit to get up to temp.
Well, we've seen throughout the whole season race, or at least the races that I have been here, a lot of guys making mistakes on outlaps and cold tyres. So, especially with how tricky and technical this circuit is, wouldn't be surprised if we see one of them tonight as well. I'm hoping not. Hopefully I haven't jinxed some poor bugger, but hopefully we don't see any mistakes. But we have seen in the past how dangerous the cold tyre is on these cars, as the front row of the grid, Henry Fenson and Daniel Finney lead us away. Fenson is on the grass, and we are green flag racing for race number 2 here tonight at Laguna Seca.
Gas time for Henry Fenson. He did it exactly the same thing that Benefield did in race 1. Got on the power right out of the final corner and keeps the lead into turn 1. But for how long? He runs a little bit deep, and that allows Daniel Finney alongside on the way out of the corner, scrambling in the midfield. Meanwhile, as Yeaman will get ahead of Dial and Eric Fenson, who goes off into the gravel trap. And there's going to be some close racing further back as Benefield's trying his best to make moves up the field, nearly running into his now ex-teammate Dylan Walker. As for the lead, Daniel Finney tries again on Henry Fenson side by side, but Fenson will still lead on the way into turn 6. Will anyone make a mistake out of here? Side by side for third, Vinnie Newen and Lockhart Brownlee coming together. Now he's banging wheels with Jackson Dial on the way up to the corkscrew. Has to back out. Dial's too deep, gets into Vinnie Newen and sends him into the gravel trap. And Dial back onto the circuit. That causes chaos in the midfield. It looks like Brownlee's off. No, it's Walker. Dylan Walker.
Dylan Walker has been tagged by the bit of a poor re-entry there from Jackson Dial. Unfortunately, gone in the right rear corner of Walker. Unfortunately, he's been spun around. So one of favourites to potentially come up through the field. One of the drop bear cars is now out of the running. He's going to be right down the back of the field, which has got a lot of work to do. Daniel Yeaman's benefited from this first up, 6th up to 2nd. Brantley that started 8th. He's now up to 3rd. Unfortunately, Finney, he's down to 4th now. Vundell is a few spots ahead now of Benefield. So Benefield got caught up with the corkscrew happenings on that first lap. Lost a little bit of ground. He's still in position number 7. I will go to the Südspeed.com replay, seeing Brantley and Dial side by side coming to the entry of the corkscrew, and I think Dial just outbroke himself, got in the back of Newen, and when he comes back on the second, unfortunately, Dylan Walker was right there, and that's where Benefield lost his time. He had to stop to miss Dylan Walker and lost 2 spots out of it.
Yeah, good heads-up driving from Daniel Benefield, straight on the brakes, avoided causing a bigger incident there, but of course, he has compromised himself. Now he'll have to try and fight his way back into the top 5. Daniel Finney, the big beneficiary of all of that, he's managed to find his way into 4th. It could have been 2nd were it not for Yeaman and Brownlee, but still, Finney's got a great lead over the rest of the AM class. A big gap between himself and the next AM car, Dean Hunt, keeping our eyes trained on Benefield as he makes his way up to Eric Fenson. And Fenson's got quite the battle ahead of him. Finney trying to keep Seb Vundell behind him as our top 2 are closing in. See Yeaman gaining and gaining again on Henry Fenson as Sam Lambert has gone for a spin at turn 1. And oh dear, looks like Finney's gone off there at turn 4. It's going to allow Vundell, Fenson and Benefield through. Finney's going to have to be careful. He's got Dean Hunt right on the back of him now as Jackson Dial has been given a drive-through from race control for that contact into the corkscrew.
Well, I was about to say, as we see Seb Vundell go off on these at turn number 6 as well. So, a lot of mistakes at the start of this race. Maybe I did curse some of these guys, saying there would be a few mistakes. I didn't think they'd be on the first couple laps. Vundell back down the inside of Finney. I don't think there was contact there at all. I think Finney might have just got spooked a little bit and gone off the circuit. So, very interesting how that happened. But Jackson Dial, he's going to have a penalty coming his way. And looks like Finney and Dylan Walker coming into the pits at the end of a lot of cars into the pits. There's Jackson Dial. He's probably serving his penalty. Vandel, and looks like Fenton as well. So there's, no contact there between Vandel and Finney whatsoever. I think Finney just got a little bit spooked potentially. There's a lot of guys coming to the pit lane race.
Yeah, indeed. Well, this is the battle for the top 3 now. These guys have all stayed out. Same for Benefield, Hunt, Coburn, Newen, and Lambert. The gap is ever closing here. Henry Fenton, he's had some success in this series in the past, and he'll want to try and hold on to this for as long as he can. Lockhart Brownlee in the drop bear 125, chasing them down, maybe just sitting back a little bit, waiting to see what happens. Both he and Yeaman will be playing the team game here. They don't want to get in each other's way. They both want to get by the Blue Fenton Brothers racing machine ahead. Cars coming out of the pits meanwhile. It looks like Daniel Finney has unfortunately messed up pit exit a little bit. He went into the gravel trap, and so he's massively compromised himself. As Yeaman will go into the pits, so will Brownlee, and they just managed to avoid getting into the tyre barriers. Fenton will stay out an extra lap.
Look how much ground, if we go to Daniel Benefield very quickly, how much ground he's made up on Henry Fenton. He's 1.3 seconds behind Fenton already, and Yeaman and Brownlee were right on the rear bumper of Fenton, so I reckon by the time all the pit stops are sorted out, we're going to have a very close top 4 in this race. Dean Hunt also stays out, Coburn stays out, Vinnie Newen stays out, and so does Lambert, so be interesting to see. Brownlee, does he jump Yeaman in the pits? No, Yeaman will just stay in front. And here comes Eric Fenton coming around the final quarter. So he's the current leader of the guys that have pitted, but it looks like Yeaman and Brownlee will be easily clear of them. So the question will be, when does Benefield pit? Do they react and pit this up, or do they go long race?
Exactly. Is the overcut the way to go here? Well, considering that Yeaman and Brownlee have come out a long way ahead of Eric Fenton, potentially minor overcut there. Just got to see whether or not Fenton and Benefield here will be able to do the same thing. And of course, I say Fenton this, Fenton that. I'm talking about 2 different Fentons, Eric and Henry. Henry's going to come in, and Benefield is going to stay out for yet another lap. Now, do Hunt, Coburn, Newen, and Lambert decide to follow Henry Fenton in is the question. It looks like Dean Hunt isn't going to. Coburn won't either. Newen and Lambert also stay out. They are wanting to go long too.
We'll see where Henry Fenton comes out in comparison to Daniel Yeaman. That'll be the one comparison. Yeaman was right on his rear bumper when he pitted. So come around the final corner now is the 85 of Yeaman. And now Henry Fenton off the jacks. It's going to be very close. I think Yeaman's just going to get him into turn 1. Remember, Henry Fenton on cold tyres as well. Look at the 85 speed on by. It's a very tight pit exit as well for Henry Fenton. He doesn't want to go in the sand. Cold tyres, a little brake lock up, and half a spin there for Henry Fenton as well. Keeps it on the tarmac. He's now going to get in behind Lockhart Brownlee, just in front of the other Fenton, Eric.
All right, so that's evidently overcut not working too well there for Henry Fenton, which is interesting because he has the quickest pit time out of all of these 4 cars on screen at the moment, only by a few tenths, but 35 seconds entry to exit, 12.9 seconds in the box. So that tells me that potentially he's just been struggling with the cold tyres on pit exit, yes, but also maybe the overcut isn't as strong as we thought it would be.
And Sam Lambert, the next guy into the pit lane as well, so that will leave just 4 guys, Benefield, Hunt, Coburn, and Vinnie Newen, all left to pit. And my thinking is that Benefield is going to go really long in this race and probably go as lazy can potentially, but thinking it's not going to work out. I think Yeaman with that undercut, fresher tyres are now up to temp. He's got clean air as well. I think he's going to be in a really good position, but I could be fooled.
Yeah, certainly. We'll have to wait and see what Benefield does, because if he stays out for 3 or 4 more laps, then we'd probably be in the window of him going super long, potentially waiting until the last few laps to take his stop. Remember, though, they might have to take a little splash of fuel in the pits as well, so that might complicate things further. Meanwhile, number 14, Vinnie Newen, he's now back up to 3rd place, and Nathaniel Coburn having to let him go there. Vinny trying his best to keep going here on the same set of tyres that he started the race on. Nathaniel Coburn exactly the same. And Vinny, despite the issues that he faced earlier, now starting to make some gains.
If we can, Producer Jay, can we get potential pit transit times for Yeaman and Branley as well, just to see what the gap will be when Benefield makes that stop? The current gap's 30.9 seconds from Benefield to Yeaman, so I'm still thinking it's going to be very, very close. But is it advantage Yeaman or is it advantage Benefield? And going off that, it's advantage Daniel Benefield.
Yeah, potentially. We'll have to wait and see. Remember that the pit lane time is the time it takes from entry to exit. It doesn't quite take into account the delta, which is how much time you lose overall by taking a pit stop. I would say the pit lane delta is something along the lines of 29 seconds or something like that. Not too sure, but it's a little bit less than 30 seconds. I think we'll at the very least have a nice close race between Yeaman and Benefield, but Yeaman's tyres will be up to temperature now. We'll be able to see him start to potentially gain some time just by running faster laps than Benefield is at the moment.
You can see the lap times I'm currently looking at. Benefield, it's dropped off just a little bit. He started in the high 112s and he's slowly gone down to the low 113s. We'll see this lap from Yeaman and literally 1,000th of a second separating that last lap. So absolutely nothing between them right now. So I'm thinking that this pit stop is going to be very crucial for Benefield. And when does he do it, race? Does he keep going longer? We still got 19 minutes left in this race, so we're only 11 minutes in. We're not even halfway yet. So does he go to the last potentially 5 minutes, or does he try and split the race in two?
That be the question. Benefield to the final corner now, and he does not go for the pits once again. He's looking very comfortable on that set of tyres. Just run it long in the first stint of the race, and then just try and build a gap. Make sure that he has enough in hand to deal with the tyre warm-up phase when he comes back out. In terms of battles, well, it's battles of the teammates right now. Yeaman versus Brownlee for 5th, and then the Fenson brothers racing in 7th and 8th right now. Our top 4 still have yet to make their way into the lane.
Yeah, still the top 4 going the same strategy as Benefield, going long. Daniel Yeaman will cross along. What's his lap looking like? It's a 30.13.3, so he's lost 3.5 tenths that lap to Benefield. Wow. So Benefield will be looking for that. He'll try and build the gap as much as he can to know he's a bit on the safe side and potentially will pit after that. But a nice little battle forming for 7th and 8th at the moment between the two Fenson brothers. For Fenson Brothers Racing, ironically, and nothing separating them, but looks like Vandal slowly closing into them, has got a lot of pace on board. The number 1 machine was 7 tenths quicker that last time by compared to the two brothers, so it'll be very interesting if Seb Vandal can potentially get another 2 spots here very soon.
Yeah, true. What we found is that it's difficult to pass around Laguna Seca, at least up here in the back half. Putting a move into the corkscrew is often easier said than done. Like you said at the top of the show, Brady, your best chances to get by into turn 1, turn 5, and the last corner. Those are really the only places you can put one up on your rivals. So Vandal, I think, needs to be careful about when exactly he catches these guys. Into the final turn they come, and Vandal, you can tell that he's massively focused right now.
He certainly is. He's got the eyes on and trying to catch the two brothers up ahead, try and get some moves done, and potentially Daniel Yeaman in the next lap or two will be facing a bit of traffic as Vandal runs a little wide into 1. Yeaman is reeling in Nathaniel Coburn. That last time by was nearly 3 seconds he caught him, so Yeaman will be praying that Coburn pits in the next lap or two, otherwise he's going to catch him very quickly and potentially held up, which could help out Daniel Benefield. There'll be one to watch.
Yeah, indeed. It just looks like Coburn's been struggling for pace. I went over his last lap and I didn't see any actual mistakes that he made. Just not quite hitting apexes and the like. He's struggling a little out there, but you see just how close Yeaman is getting now.
Yeah, Yeaman's been reeling him in the last couple of laps, so be an important part of this race, whether Yeaman can get by him easily enough without losing too much time as Coburn stays out once again. So based off lap time, I think Yeaman might get him by the end of this next lap they're about to start. So it'll be very interesting. If Yeaman can potentially get him into turn 1 and 2 and not lose too much time, they'll be beneficial to his race, as that last time by just checking lap times, and Benefield pulled another 10th and a half on Yeaman. So he's doing his job out in front, but now Yeaman has to do his job and try and get past the slower car of Nathaniel Coburn, who is on old tyres and struggling to keep it under him at the moment.
Indeed, you see the gap between Yeaman and Brownlee there, but it looks like Benefield certainly has the edge over the drop bear duo at the moment. Still a few tenths in hand on overall lap time, as the Fenson brothers are closing in on each other, and they won't want to get too Larry here, otherwise they'll make Sebastian Vandel's job far too easy.
Yes, certainly, and they don't want to be making a mistake because Vandel is quick, so he doesn't want to get held up too much and try and get the move done as soon as he can. And one thing I just picked up on as well, Reese, Daniel Benefield, he's slowly catching Sam Lambert as well, so potentially traffic for Daniel Benefield and also Daniel Yeaman. Yeaman goes down the inside of Coburn at the last corner. Coburn has a slide on the exit. I don't think Yeaman would have lost too much time with that. And Yeaman will be down the inside. I don't think Coburn's going to put up too much of a fight. The eyes are on for Daniel Yeaman to get the move done. Will Brownlee follow suit down the inside? Yes, he does. So Brownlee doesn't lose too much time, but I reckon Yeaman lost a few tenths there with that battle. But now Benefield, he's already got him past Sam Lambert, so it doesn't look like he's lost too much time either. So bit of traffic for the two race leaders, as everyone in the top four still continuing on and have not pitted, as we are just past halfway in this race.
Indeed we are. Oh man, it's going to be such an interesting fight to the very end of this. If all these drivers play their cards right. Benefield gaining 8 tenths on Yeaman on that last lap. That is absolutely ridiculous, and yeah, it had a part to play, that little tussle between Dan Yeaman and Nathaniel Coburn. As up the inside of the corkscrew goes Seb Vandel. He's now past Eric Fenson. Now target is Henry. Vandel will be hoping that he hasn't lost too much time there, because remember, he is still racing for that potential podium place.
Credit where credit is due to Vandel. You don't see too many moves at the start of the corkscrew, so that was a fantastic job for Seb Vandel. We'll get a replay of it. Thank you, Jay. On cue, as always, down the inside, right under brakes, down the inside, gets the move done. Fantastic move for the Vivian Motorsports #1 machine of Vandel to get that move done down the inside. You don't see too many there, Reese.
No, certainly not. And you saw that Eric Fenson was starting to go towards the inside of the corner, but he turned to the right a little to just give Vandel a little bit of room. He sensed that the battle was over, as Daniel Benefield is in the pits. Our race leader has come into the lane with just under 13 minutes left on the clock. Now this is going to be a decisive moment in the race here. Benefield up on the jacks now. Dean Hunt is going to continue to stay out of pit lane. Vinnie Newen will make his way in. How long is the pit stop for Daniel Benefield? We've seen it around 12 to 13 seconds. It's about 13 and a half for Benefield. And to the end of pit lane he comes, as Brownlee and Yeaman have just exited the last corner. This is going to be mighty close indeed. Benefield's still getting up to speed, reaching almost VMAX of the two drop bear cars. Benefield is out of the lane and ahead of Yeaman and Brownlee, but he's going to have to warm up those two tyres he changed.
No mistakes are needed here for Daniel Benefield on the first probably 2 or 3 laps to get those tyres up to temp, because there's not much of a gap between those two. Just over a second between them at the moment. Dean Hunt is the only one that stayed out in that sequence. Nathaniel Coburn's come to the lane as well, so only one guy left. It's Dean Hunt. He wanted to lead a lap, and he's certainly doing that now. Whether he pits this lap or not, gets us all into sync, we will see as he jumps the curb a little bit into turn number 10. Hunt will stay out. He will officially lead lap number 15. And does Yeaman close up to Benefield? He's closed maybe 1 or 2 car lengths, but Benefield looks pretty solid at the moment on the cold tyres.
Yeah, he's very smooth, isn't he? He's just getting them up to temperature and maintaining the gap. I think Yeaman just trying to work some more mistakes out of his system. I noticed that shortly after he and Brownlee had come out of the pits, Yeaman was a little leery in places as Vandel is getting by Henry Fenson as we speak. He's made the move. Sebastian Vandel up into 5th. It's going to be effective 4th once Dean Hunt makes his way into the pits. Vandel will have to go defensive here versus Henry Fenson, and oh, he's a little deep. That allows Fenson back through. Mistake from Vandel, and he's going to be on the outside for turn 3, which is not where you want to be. Not much grip out there, and Fenson will get the move done again into turn 4. Nice little battle here for the last position, currently in the top 5. And oh my god, they're close. Vandel, big dive to the inside. Fenson tries to maintain it, but Vandel will get through, and it looks like Henry's going to have to give up the position to his brother too.
We've seen some fantastic moves in this race from Seb Vandel, but once again, his season's been riddled by a few small mistakes, and we've seen him once again, got the move done, made a little mistake, and let Eric Fenson back by, so he had to do the hard work for a second time to get the move done, and hopefully he can now clear out on the Fenson brothers and try and push on, potentially try and catch the drop bear cars, although he's got a long way to go. As Dean Hunt now into the pit lane, so the last of our runners have now completed their pit stop, so he'll come out. Looks like he's going to come out potentially around P8, P9, Dean Hunt, so very impressive drive from him. And Daniel Yeaman's actually lost a spot to his teammate Lockhart Brownlee. When did that happen, Reese?
We're about to find out. It was out of the final corner here. Yeaman, I think, just with a slightly compromised run here. Don't know if it was an actual move from Lockhart Brownlee here, but Yeaman just lifting off and letting him go. I didn't see any indication that Yeaman had gotten a slowdown, but he might have.
The only thing I could think of is either he did have a slowdown and cleared at the last minute because he braked really, really early into the hairpin, or Lockhart Brownlee's got a lot more pace than him, and Lockhart wants to go and try and chase Daniel Benefield, so be either one of those two. I don't see Dan usually give you up a position considering he's in the championship fight, but if Lockhart Brownlee starts to close in on Daniel Benefield, we might see something happen as Brownlee goes a little bit wide. That's going to let Yeaman right back through, so my theory's done.
Oh man, that's a shame. All of that exchanging is but lost them bulk time to Daniel Benefield, who's now in the lead by 2.9 seconds. And it doesn't look like there's going to be much either of these guys can do to elevate themselves any further. Seems like Benefield just has this race on lockdown, under control.
He sure does, and he's got through the cold tyre period, and he's extended that lead just over now 3 seconds with 8 minutes remaining in this race, so no mistakes from him. I think he'll be pretty safe to take out the double win and obviously pole position as well. So going for the clean sweep tonight is Daniel Benefield, and from 10th position on the grid as well, going long with a bit of strategy. So fantastic stuff from him, but I don't think it's quite over yet for position number 2 here, Reese.
No, the teammates haven't really been getting in each other's way, but at the same time, they've been battling hard. And I would think that since Yeaman is the driver further up in the standings, then he'll be allowed to keep the position. Brownlee's definitely going to let him keep it with a little mistake in the final corner. Meanwhile, Vandel has well and truly cleared the Fensons, and there's not much more to be said about that battle. Dylan Walker could stand to gain some time. Hunt on fresher tyres, still getting them up to temp, but the M-Class leader as things stand right now. And he's got a big advantage over Daniel Finney too. Looks to be somewhere in the realm of 6 seconds that he has in hand.
Looks like the overcut has worked pretty well for Dean Hunt in terms of the M-Class race, because like he touched on, race got a fairly decent gap back to Daniel Finney. Obviously Jackson Dahl, he had issues earlier in the race, so that's going to compromise his points for the championship. So Dean Hunt potentially could move to position number 2 in the points heading into the final round in 2 weeks' time. So much kudos to Dean Hunt. He's doing a really good race. He's up 3 spots as well, so can't complain whatsoever.
Certainly not. Well, we wait with bated breath to see how the rest of the race works out. We're about to enter the final 6 minutes, and Benefield's still holding on to the lead and extending his gap. He has been running so consistently in the low 13s and high 12s. There's nothing that Yeaman and Brownlee can do to run any faster. Seems like, looking at the way they drive as well, Benefield's driving has been smooth and controlled. We haven't seen any hint of oversteer or understeer from that car. Meanwhile, anytime I've looked at Yeaman or Brownlee, they've been sliding the car through the corner.
Yeah, it looks like Benefield's got his car really under control, and potentially for Yeaman and Brownlee, as Yeaman has another little off on the exit at turn number 5, potentially just pushing really hard, trying to make up the ground, and there's a running wide once again for Yeaman on the exit of 6, so both the drop bear cars trying extensively hard to try and get to the back of Benefield, but I think smoothness is prevailing at the moment. There's another little off going wide there for Yeaman, so they're trying hard to drop bear cars, but nothing he's doing at the moment to try and catch the 34 of Benefield.
Yeah, I think they might have to just settle down and accept second and third in this final race of the night. 5 minutes now remain on the clock, and Benefield extends his lead further. It's another 4/10 that he's gained on Yeaman and Brownlee, who are the only cars within a second of each other around the whole track, and it's going to be even less than that now as Yeaman runs deep in turn 1, but Brownlee doesn't go for it. He's allowing his teammate to remain ahead for the championship.
Yeah, certainly. There's not much between the two teammates. They've got quite a big gap back to Seb Vandel, so they really got nothing to worry about. They can try and battle a little bit. I don't think they want to battle too hard and potentially have a mistake and lose that time and invite Vandel back into the battles. So not much battling happening right now. Probably the closest gap we got on track would be between Dylan Walker and Dean Hunt for 7th, and then back to Daniel Finney and Vinnie Newen for 9th and 10th. So not much between them. Obviously, 2nd and 3rd, they've been right near each other all race long. And another little mistake there for Yeaman. Bit of understeer going into turn number 10 and oversteer on the exit. So looks like Yeaman's really struggling here tonight, Reese.
Yeah, seems like maybe just working the tyres too hard, overheating them a tad. But anytime Brownlee looks to get past, he too ends up making an error. Both of them heavily concentrating on the task ahead of them. Just get through the last 3.5 minutes of this race, get the result, get the points, and move on to the last couple of rounds of the championship. Yeaman deep again into turn 3. Seems like it's largely the front end he's struggling with.
Yeah, he certainly looks like he's struggling on turn in, and then that compromises the oversteer on the exit as well. So potential car balance issues there for the drop bear cars because they've all been struggling. We've seen Dylan Walker have a few issues as well. Lockhart Brownlee, they've all had a few little moments throughout this whole race and losing so much time to Daniel Benefield. The gap is now 5.5 seconds from Benefield to Yeaman, so he is cleared out in this race. Daniel Finney, Vinnie Nugent continuing their battle for 9th on the road. Both these guys are 2nd and 3rd respectively in this race. Daniel Finney for AM, Vinnie Nugent a pro driver. Not much separating them with just 2.5 minutes remaining in this race.
Yeah, don't forget these guys started in the top 3 for this race. So it's been a bit tough going for them, but they've managed to keep the cars clean and keep the pace up. Finney running a little bit tight in the last turn, but Newen, by the same token, running slightly deep. 2 minutes left on the clock. It looks like we're going to be having 2 laps to go for these guys. About 1.5 for the drivers at the front of the field. And how much time can Newen make up on Finney is the question. 1:14 on the last lap for both of them. They're only separated by a few hundredths. Benefield, meanwhile, down into the cascading final few turns here at Laguna Seca. By the time he crosses the line, it's likely going to be about 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. Or will it? Maybe he's going to stretch this race out a lap further. Let's see when he crosses the line. 1 minute 15 about when he crosses the line, and no white flag from Barney. So 2 laps to go now for our drivers at the front of the field. And everyone further back will have been hoping that they'd taken enough fuel at the pit stop to get to the end.
Well, they've set the race server up perfectly because they've set the race for 30 minutes, but also 25 laps. And Daniel Benefield will be starting lap number 25 on the final lap. So perfect stuff for the guys at Südspeed. So credit to you guys for working that out really well, as the Fenton brothers still going at it for 5th and 6th. And Daniel Finney and Vinny New and still going for 9th and 10th. Looks like Vinny has closed the gap just a little bit in the last lap or so. 10th and a half on that last lap. So they'll be going wire to wire for the final lap and a half, as Vinny Newen down the inside, potentially of Finney. Won't get the move done on the exit of turn number 3 there. And it's not going to get anything through 4. Potentially a big bomb at turn 5, but a little bit too far back this time by.
Yeah, Finney lost the rear coming into turn 3 and almost allowed Newen by him, but there's nothing doing for the time being for that. Nothing doing for those trying to chase down Daniel Benefield either. He's going to take the white flag here. Last lap of the race begins now, and Benefield is in the lead by nearly 6 seconds, and similar gap to what he won race 1 with. We'll have to wait and see how that one works out. How does this battle work out as well? Just looks to me like Newen is making small gains through the fast corners. Just got to nail the exit here. He nails the apex of the final corner. Finney running slightly wide, but better exit just a little bit for the number 67, as Dean Hunt now faces Dylan Walker for 7th place overall. Hunt's still holding on to the AM class lead. Finney, remember, is in 2nd in AM. Question is, will Hunt be able to hold off the hard-charging Dylan Walker, who, remember, had a spin on the exit of the corkscrew thanks to that contact caused by Jackson Dial?
On the last corner, Walker actually made a mistake, ran wide, and let the door open for Dean Hunt to get that move done for 7th. So Dean Hunt now up 4 positions in this race, as Daniel Benefield will come around the final corner and will complete the clean sweep, pole position, race number 1 win, and will win race number 2 from 10th on the grid. Daniel Benefield will win here at Laguna Seca. Daniel Yeaman in 2nd. Lockhart Branley will round out the podium. Side by side between the Fenson brothers for 4th and 5th. Eric runs a little wide on the exit. Vanda will come across in position number 4. Henry Fenson in 5th. Eric Fenson down in position number 6.
Whoa!
Whoa! Vinny Newen moved down the inside of Daniel Finney on the last corner for position number 9. I didn't expect that one.
It looks like Vinny didn't expect that one either. Goodness gracious, that was a huge dive at the last turn. And I think heads up driving from Daniel Finney that he was able to blend the steering out and avoid that. This is the finish here between Hunt and Walker. Running wide at the final corner. Yeah, and that is ultimately what gave Dean Hunt 7th overall and the AM class win here tonight. But take nothing away from Daniel Benefield, it was a almost perfect round for him.
Yeah, certainly was. There wasn't too much we could fault him on all night long. Race got the pole position, even though he was tied with Vandel for pole. Ran away with race 1 and then went longer in that second race. Got the overcut and held on the cold tyres to get the second win of the night by 5.6 seconds over Yeaman. Lockhart Branley in position number 3. Vandel and Henry Fenson ran out the top 5. Eric Fenson in 6th. Dean Hunt in 7th, and also the AM class victory. Dylan Walker in 8th. Vinny Newen 9th with that big move in the last corner on the last lap to just get by Daniel Finney for 10th on the road. Nathaniel Coburn and Samuel Lambert will round out the finishes in this race, as Jackson Dial encountered issues earlier on. But some fantastic battles in the remaining laps there, Reese. We've seen the move from Dean Hunt and Dylan Walker, and also that big bomb from Ewan on Finney on that last lap. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, some good racing in the final laps here at Laguna Seca, and with that great finish versus Dylan Walker, we can confirm that Dean Hunt is our driver of the day, as we have voted here on SimSpeed. A $30 Südspeed voucher will be coming Dean Hunt's way. As we await Benefield and Hunt coming in for a chat, we will go to Mr. Benefield first. Congratulations, Daniel. Double win here tonight. Almost perfect round for you, consolidating the championship lead going into the final round.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The last couple of weeks, to be honest, I started doubting myself. With the move to 9.5, my change of focus. This is actually going to be the last prototype series I run, except for like the occasional one-off race. So I was even considering just not doing the last 2 rounds, to be honest. And just focusing further forward. But yeah, very happy. Very happy to prove that I could do the double in the dry. Obviously, Road America, the conditions favoured me a bit more. But to do it in the dry is very satisfying.
Yeah, as it should be. Well, final round of the season in 2 weeks' time. We're racing at the boot layout of Watkins Glen. That's a track that obviously all of us know incredibly well. It's going to be defined by slipstreaming and high-speed moves, and I suppose you're just hoping to cap off your season with another successful night.
Yeah, like just looking to end my prototype career really on a high. And then looking forward to something a bit different further down the track.
All right, it'll be interesting to see what we see you racing in next, Daniel. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
All the guys at 9.5. As I was saying, I was really down on myself in this car, in this series, before tonight. And now support network behind the scenes really helped get my head back in the right spot, really, to carry on. And all our sponsors as well, so Racecraft, Turn In Apparel, RSW Graphics, Racing Ears, and Prestige Cinematography.
Daniel Benefield taking a dominant round victory here at Laguna Seca. And Brady, you stood by with our driver of the day and AM winner in race 2, Dean Hunt.
That's off, Dean. Congratulations. We have voted you the driver of the day, so congratulations on that. And also the M-Class win in that second race. Talk us through that race.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. No, it was a bloody interesting start. I mean, there was a lot going on through the corkscrew at the start there, so just try to keep it clean through there, like I said in the other interview. And then, just was kind of hoping for a safety car once everyone else had pitted. I think it was me and a couple other guys probably doing the same thing, just waiting for a safety car, but didn't come. But and then I had a good little fight with Dylan at the end there. He just made a few mistakes and let me by, which was a nice little bonus. But it was a really fun race actually. I thought it wouldn't be as exciting with the smaller grid, but no, it was great.
So was your plan always to run long in that race, or was it more of a on-the-fly move to see a lot of the other drivers pit so early?
Oh man, I never have a plan. Just take it as it comes. But I sort of always try and stay out later, just in case there's a safety car. You know, when you're a little bit slower like me, sometimes you got to have a little bit of luck to get any success. So I was just kind of just sort of hoping there'd be an outside chance. But I don't really pre-plan anything. I had 60 litres of fuel in the first race when I only needed about 25, I think.
So our final race of the season will be at the Watkins Glen boot layout. So any thoughts heading into that one in 2 weeks' time?
Well, I mean, it's one of my favourite tracks actually, and same with Laguna. So should be a good one. Hopefully, I've had a few scheduled clashes with real life stuff in the last couple of weeks. So hopefully I can continue and maybe have a chance at getting close to the top of the AM category. But it's definitely one of my favourite tracks on the service. I really enjoy that one, so looking forward to that.
Congratulations once again on our driver of the day, Dean, and the AM class win. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, of course, the team like Frog Elite Juiced. the boys in the team have been doing a really good job lately, just helping everyone out with all sorts of things and getting ready for Nürburgring 24. So obviously those guys, and especially Vinny tonight, running shotgun with me. Obviously he didn't have the greatest race in the second, but no, we're keeping each other ticking along. And yeah, obviously Juiced Energy, the name sponsor, Südspeed, for sponsoring the team and obviously putting on the league. It's not an easy task, and I know there's been a bit of drama lately, so yeah, it's really well done by them. Obviously Simrigs as well, and Racecraft for sponsoring the team as well. So yeah, that's about it really.
Congratulations once again, Dean. Hopefully we can talk to you at the finale.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good night.
There's Dean Hunt, our M-Class winner and driver of the day race, as we head into the finale, round number 7 at Watkins Glen on the boot layout, May 21, at 8:15. Looking forward to that one.
Yep, as am I. It's a classic American circuit, Watkins Glen. It's fast, it's flowing, it's got plenty of opportunities for slipstreaming. The drivers will have to be careful of the curbs in the bus stop chicane, the inner loop. We are, of course, running that layout, and it's going to play havoc with the suspension. Let's see how things conclude in 2 weeks' time in the Südspeed Sportscar Championship. One more time for all of you watching, if you're interested in getting some gear from Südspeed.com, all you got to do is use the code Spectator at checkout. You will get 10% off your order plus free shipping if you're in Australia and New Zealand. Thanks very much to the crew at Südspeed for putting this series together, and to all the drivers for putting on a fantastic show tonight. I'm Reese Gardner here on SimSpeed TV alongside Brady Baldwin with Jay Kennedy doing all of the hard work in the background. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, we say bye for now. We'll see you next time.